Hello and welcome to Real Biz. I'm Rebecca Jarvis here in New York City, and here's what's on our radar today. He is one of the most successful people on the planet, and he started from the bottom. Now he's here on Real Biz. Growing up on Long Island, working 3 jobs, and now Bill McDermott is the CEO of SAP, the biggest software company in the world. Before he began running the multi-billion-dollar company, Bill worked at Xerox, rising from a salesman to its youngest corporate officer and division president ever. From there, he moved on to becoming Executive Vice President of Worldwide Sales and Operations at Siebel Systems and President of Gartner Incorporated. In his new book, Winner's Dream, A Journey from Corner Store to Corner Office, Bill McDermott shares the rags to riches story of how he did it. And Bill sat down with us here at Real Biz to share his secrets to success. And I want to welcome to Real Biz Bill McDermott. He is author of Winner's Dream and the CEO of SAP. It's so nice to have you with us, Bill.
Thank you, Rebecca. Great to be with you.
So why this book? Why now?
I think the world needs to dream. I wrote this book for the underdog. You know, I wasn't born a CEO. I came up the hard way. And I think lots of young jobs led me to 3 part-time jobs when I was 15, which led me to buying my own delicatessen business when I was 16. And the story goes on from there. So hard work, grit, determination, but always with a dream.
What do you think along the way was the smartest decision that you made?
Well, obviously marrying my wife, Julie,
Wow.
and having 2 of the greatest kids that any father could ever hope for in a million lifetimes was my greatest decision. But on the career front, when I sold the delicatessen business at 21 and I went to work for Xerox, I went after my dream job. I'm on the Long Island Railroad leaving Amityville, and I guaranteed my dad that I would get the job at Xerox that day. I walk into the hiring center. So many kids with real pedigree, great degrees, beautifully groomed and dressed, ready for the interview. I got my $99 suit from the mall. I figure I'm in trouble. But I asked them, what are they there for? What are you doing today? Well, I'm playing the field, I'm interviewing here, there, and everywhere. I knew exactly why I was there. I was there for my dream job. I read the annual report about the then CEO reinventing the company on total quality management. They went to interview for a sales job. I went to be the next CEO.
It's such an important part of your story, the way that you were always thinking. And I think when you read this book, it's sort of a roadmap for anybody out there who has a dream, who that dream is big,
Yes.
like yours at the time.
Yes.
And who is uncertain about how to get there. And I think a lot of people, one of the issues is where to start. What is that very first step?
Yes.
What would you say is the first step people should take?
As a young person, take a step to work. You know, I talk about newspaper routes and upselling cookies and cards on the route, but get young people involved in the movement of work, because it's like any other reflex. When you know how to work and you enjoy the work itself, it becomes your destiny. The other piece is encourage kids to take chances on things that they really believe in. I really believed I could run that delicatessen and make it successful.
At 16 years old?
At 16 years old.
What was it at 16 that made you think, I'm going to sell deli meats and it's going to be a good idea?
I had 3 part-time jobs. One at Finest Supermarket. I worked for the town of Amityville, Long Island, and I worked as a busboy in a restaurant. I got the chance to consolidate it into one job. When the deli went for sale, I had a familiarity with the customers. I had a familiarity with the suppliers. I was comfortable in work. And when I had a chance to buy it for $5,500 notes, $7,000 with interest, I pounced on it. But here was the key. I knew my base. I had the blue-collar workers, got to give them credit. They make a lot of money on Friday night, but by Sunday morning, they're kind of broke. So I gave them credit. I knew that lifestyle. I grew up in it. And then there were the senior citizens. They would prefer to have things delivered versus leave their house. We deliver. And then the high school kids, this was the fun part. I couldn't get them to walk a block and a half past 7-Eleven to my store. So one day I get on the line and I say, what are you guys doing all lined up? It's a big store, only 4 at a time in there. Well, they think we might take things. So I watched this and I said, you can come down to my store 40 at a time. And to underscore knowing your customer, one kid says to me, when I want to get treated with beautiful experience, good food, very kind service, I come here.
A high school student said
A high school student. And he said, when I want to steal stuff, I go to 7-Eleven. So the idea is you treat your customers, you segment your markets, and you treat everybody with dignity and respect, and you can grow a pretty good business.
What do you say to the person, though, Bill, who says, this guy is clearly smart. He was, for some reason in the universe, he was anointed to be on this path, and he made it. He made it, but a lot of people don't make it.
Yeah, I was the underdog. I mean, if you think about my story, climbing up the ladder, going to a no-name school, interviewing for that initial job, I wanted it more. And I think whether you're a kid that doesn't have a lot of financial bandwidth or you're somebody that does, the common denominator here is passion and wanting it more. And I tell people all the time, they're like, well, what do I do with my kids? Because we are well off, or we have means. I teach them that you have to forget that, because your resume and the things you have are not nearly as important as your journey and the fight that you have in you. And whether you're a poor kid or a rich kid, no matter where you come from, you got to act like the underdog. Always prepare, always focus on the prize, and focus on the dream. When you can get kids to figure out the dream, your working life becomes your life's work. I never felt like I went to an office. I always felt like I was working for the dream. And that's really important when you get hit with thunderbolts and setbacks, which I did and everyone does. It helps you get back up again.
And so many people, I mean, that thunderbolt, unemployment has been as a very widespread thunderbolt.
Yes.
And we're finally sort of climbing out of that hole.
Yes.
But for so many, I mean, there's still about 12 million people in this country who don't have a job, 7 million people who are part-time employed, not because they want to be part-time employed, but because it's the only work
Yes.
available to them.
Right.
What's your advice to those people right now?
Don't lose hope. Read The Winner's Dream. In this book, there is a roadmap for getting involved in work and making the most out of the opportunities that are in front of you. It's absolutely fascinating. I mean, how do you go from working in the delicatessen to owning the delicatessen? You constantly have to be agile on your feet, looking for opportunity. Go in with passion and grit and determination to do great things. People will notice you. They will find you. If you give everything you got, you will be noticed.
And hand up when there's something, looking for that thing.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I talk about one story in the book. I was passed over for a promotion. Many of the people watching this program know this feeling. It could break your heart. But instead of breaking my heart, I went up, got in my car, I met with the leaders of the company, and I asked them, why'd you pass me up for the promotion? The person that got the promotion did not perform at my level. I just want to register my ambition. I don't want you to change your decision, but explain to me why I didn't get the job. I registered the ambition. I put him on notice. The senior vice president of the company at that time said, Bill, 9 times out of 10, it'll go your way, and I'm sure of it. So therefore, I want to thank you for coming here, and I'll be watching over you now. So by registering that, they know you're a serious player, and you're not going to be taken for a patsy. That's a good thing.
I like that. They know you're a serious player. You have just published on LinkedIn, your story is much more important than your resume.
Yes.
So for anybody out there who's looking at their resume saying, I don't know, it's not what I want it to be.
Right.
What do you say?
Do something about it. Really, think about what your hopes and your dreams are with your life. In The Winner's Dream, I write down my goals, and it's amazing. People have really gotten away from writing down or thinking about goals.
Write them down.
Write them goals down. Don't do it for somebody else to be impressed with your goals. Do it for you. That inner voice inside of you is telling you to do something with your life. I wrote them down because they were mine. I believed in them because they were mine.
You also, there is some vulnerability in that.
Yes.
As an individual, even if you show them to nobody.
Exactly.
Because then you have set in stone a standard that you are hoping to live up to.
Yes.
An objective.
Exactly right. And you know what? The beauty of life is when you really believe it and you really want it enough, you will achieve it. And that's the hardest part, to get people past that first hump where they think, can I do it? Is it in me? Of course it is. But you've got to have the courage to commit to it in the first place. And then once you do, then the grit, the determination, and the passion to pull it off. I had a simple dream, which was to be a leader of consequence and run a company someday. That was simple. The hard part is the day-to-day execution. But because the simple dream was so embedded in my DNA and my heart and my soul, I never felt like I was giving up too much. Actually, each passing day got me one step closer to the dream.
And to anybody who says there's one path, they look out, they see superstars, they see CEOs, they see sports stars, and think they followed the one path. They figured it out. They cracked that nut. What do you say?
I say there's so many paths that a person can take. And my own life, for example, as I talk about moving in the corporate value chain or towards your goal, I talk about accepting opportunity. There's a certain reputation you get when you're the person that accepts opportunity. You accept challenges. And there's another reputation when you're the person that waits for the perfect set of circumstances because you like things just a certain way. So this world isn't about what you take from it. The true measure of a person is what you give to it. So my encouragement is always go for opportunity. Don't be afraid to take chances. Be courageous and go for the journey that's less traveled by. I left New York. I loved New York. I went to Puerto Rico. We had the worst performing operation in the United States, the Commonwealth of the United States. It was ranked 64 out of 64. I go into Puerto Rico with a dream that we can become number one.
And you're thinking if you make it number one, then you really are something.
Then I'm really something, but it's really for the people because I spent my time listening and learning. I'm like, why are you guys last? What's going on here? And they explained to me, they just want a clear plan. They want to be inspired when they come to work. Work shouldn't be a prison cell. And they want their holiday party back. So I basically made a commitment, day one, with Gilbertito Santa Rosa, who was the #1 salsa singer and act in Puerto Rico at that time, that you will play at the El San Juan Hotel for the Puerto Rico district, and we will be #1 in the country. Well, we were like Seabiscuit, turning the corner as we went into the final quarter of the year, and we became #1 in the country. Why? Because enough people cared. And
Not salsa.
Not salsa. Well, what was amazing, Rebecca, is we're all dancing into the parking lot at 3 o'clock in the morning. I asked Gilbertito, I said, Gilbertito, I'll write you a personal check. Can you please play some more? He said, no más, senor. This is it.
That was
we tired
done.
him out.
If you could go back and change one thing, what would it be?
You know, I actually wouldn't change a thing, and I'll tell you why. Because even the most painful things that I've been through have led me to someplace better. So, for example, has every job move I've ever made been the perfect one? Absolutely not. Were some of them on the surface a mistake or a lack of cultural DNA or a lack of match? Absolutely. But by going through the pain and enduring it and learning from it, it made me so much better. For example, when I left Xerox after 17 years, I was president of a division, corporate officer. It was my dream job, and I was on my way to my dream. But I decided I need to learn. I need to change. If I'm going to be a broader executive, I need another experience. So I took a chance, and I went to another company at that time to be the president of that company. I got hit by a lightning bolt. My wife was stricken with cancer. I have 2 little kids. I mean, on the surface, you'd say that's a disaster. But I became so much more because I knew after that, my wife's health got restored. I took the body blow. I learned from it. I grew from it, and I became so much more of an executive, so much more of a husband, father, and a man. So I think all of these setbacks, these painful things, we have to learn from them and let them give us the strength they were intended to give us in the first place.
I want to do a little game of getting to know your CEO.
Yeah.
We also like to call it the Real Biz Rapid Fire.
Of course.
What time do you wake up?
5.
How much do you sleep a night?
4 or 5 hours tops.
What's on your nightside table right now?
Right now, winner's dream.
Okay, so if it wasn't Winter's Dream, what would be on your nightside table?
I like to have something worth reading. Sometimes it could be somebody else's book.
What's in the zeitgeist, basically?
Yeah, exactly. So whatever is happening at the moment that might be of interest to me, it could be something in technology, it could be something in sports, something to cool me out at the end of a long day.
Best piece of advice you ever got?
Be you. My mother told me the best part of you is be you, and always be authentic in your own skin, and don't worry about what other people think about you. Your character and what you think about you is far more important than their opinion.
It's a great note to end it on. Bill McDermott,
Thank you so much
for joining us on Real Biz.
An honor to be with you, Rebecca. Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us for Real Biz. We want to hear from you. Like us, tweet us at Rebecca Jarvis, and comment right below. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York City, I'm Rebecca Jarvis. Have a great day.